save the earth. This all starts with you and me.
Good afternoon and welcome to Ubuntu Planet, Unity Within Community Radio. It's Friday, May 19th. I'm Susan Jameson coming to you live from WBTN AM 1370 AM, your community radio in Bennington, Vermont. Thank you all for tuning in, and on the air with me is our co-host, Rebecca Gretz, the National Coordinator of Ubuntu Planet USA from Gold Hill, Colorado. Hi, Rebecca.
Hey, Susan, how are you?
I'm excellent. How are you?
You know, I am so happy to be able to be on the phone. Yesterday, we experienced here in Colorado in the foothills above Boulder almost 3 feet of snow. So I'm living a winter life right now. How about you? What's happening weather-wise for you?
Okay, everybody in Bennington. I was going to call it Snow Hill, Colorado, because I know you had 3 feet of snow. And yesterday, our temperature was over 90 degrees, and we had this ferocious storm last night. Rain, hail, thunder and lightning, scary stuff. Thousands of people without electricity. So that's what's happening here in Bennington.
You know, it's kind of an amazing times we live in to have, and of course, you know, the country is large, so it's not to be unexpected to have such varying differences in weather, but I have to tell you that a 3-foot snowstorm, even, you know, in the foothills of the Rocky Mountains, end of May is pretty unusual. So, and maybe it's not that usual for you guys to have 90-degree weather this early on. I'm not sure. It just seems like things are really shifting energetically and weather-wise. Yeah.
Yeah, very, very extreme, polarized. There's so much going on in the world, and I'm so grateful you could be on the air with us again today to speak about Ubuntu Contributionism, and I know we have some wonderful people on the air today.
Yes, I'm looking forward to. We have our coordinators from Oregon and Washington going to be joining us today, and of course, some of this is all due to the fact that Michael Tellinger is in the States. He's currently down in California. He'll be doing a tour all the way up the West Coast. He'll actually start in Sedona, Arizona, and then come to Boulder, and then go back over to California and work his way up the coast and into Canada. And so we're wanting to promote what's happening, the events that are happening in Eugene, Oregon, and Ashland, Oregon, and then in Seattle, Washington. And our coordinators are incredibly involved in making sure that those events go without a hitch, and that Michael Tellinger gets to spread the word of Ubuntu Contributionism in his words, which are some of the best out there.
Oh, yeah. You know, I think his passion, his charisma, he really does share the message. And he educates all of us as we, you know, co-create this new way. And it's really wonderful. I think it's Joshua Hale, is that correct?
Yeah.
And Cara Shepard-Pote, I believe. They're the coordinators in Washington. I mean, it's amazing that we have these coordinators across the United States. How did Joshua and Cara come to us?
Well, you know, we have been. They actually came to us before I was involved with things. When Allison, who is one of the coordinators, also she's in Pennsylvania, was promoting regional coordinators to join. There have been quite a few people who have stepped up, and these two people came on board. I think Joshua last fall, and Cara just this last maybe January or so, and very exciting. Once Cara came on board, Joshua and Cara together as a team have just been like lightning and thunder or something. They just really move well together, and they are on fire, so to speak, out there in the Bellingham, Washington area, doing amazing things, and they'll be able to share a lot more when they get online about what they're implementing there in the Washington and specifically Bellingham, Washington area.
Well, that's very cool. One of the reasons why I moved to Vermont was to participate in or co-create a contributionism community here. So I'm actually going to be joining you in Colorado next week. But when I get back, I know groups of people are looking forward to coming together, whether it be a meetup group or a different Ubuntu group, and just get things rolling over here in Vermont and in Massachusetts too. I know a lot of people who are more interested than ever before. So that's the idea of our program, to tune in and be inspired and hear people's real stories and experiences of creating these communities of Ubuntu. Ubuntu, I am who I am because of who we all are.
I think you're sort of hinting at a very important part of Ubuntu contributionism and Ubuntu itself, is that it's a very local movement. We have a national team, but the national team is really in place to support the local groups that are engaging in the philosophy of Ubuntu and the movement of Ubuntu contributionism. The national team is really in place to support the local groups that are.
And I think they're on the air. Joshua, is that you?
Hi.
Oh, there he is. Joshua and Carl, welcome to the program.
Hello.
Hi. It's wonderful to meet you over the air. We spoke briefly, Joshua, but we're just getting to know each other. And Rebecca was just introducing you, so welcome. It's wonderful that you're here today.
Fantastic.
How are things in Bellingham?
It's actually looking warm outside, and I'm going to brave a t-shirt today.
That's all right. We're doing that here on the East Coast. It was 90 plus yesterday, and it's hot here today. Of course, we have Rebecca sitting in 3 feet of snow. It's hard to believe. But we spoke a little bit earlier. I'd love for you to share with our listening audience how you came to Ubuntu, what it means to you, and all the great work you're doing in that area.
Yes.
Both of you.
Hi, nice to meet you. This is Kara.
Nice to meet you.
So, me personally, I definitely feel like the principles of Ubuntu have been with me since childhood. I was always a little more creatively inclined, and as a teenager, I remember being told, you've got to do good in school so you can go to a good college, so you can get a good job, and you can make good money. And I said, so the purpose of our life here is just to make money? It didn't compute with me, and so. Later on in life, about a year and a half ago, I came across a Tibetan doctor that I got connected with who helped heal me of a disease that I had been told for 10 years was incurable. And this kind of, for me, brought a lot of the reality and play of what has been withheld from us. And I spent the better part of a year doing a lot of inner work, very necessary inner work that then towards the end of which I knew it was time to bring out and do the outer work. It was time to become the change I wish to see. And then, just as beautiful synchronicity does, I at that same moment stumbled upon Michael Tellinger's work on Gaia, as so many others have, and it brought me to tears. These principles that I couldn't believe that others had thought this way. I had no idea. And through the Global Connector site, that's what connected me to Joshua. And since he and I have connected, it has just been a wave that just continues to flow. And the dominoes continue falling here.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, and then so we've successfully together did our first meetup, which was titled A World Without Money, and brought a lot of the philosophy in, and it was a wonderful success. We had about 12 people that showed up that we are now working with closely. A week after our first meetup, one of our new members hosted a free community meal that just invited even more new faces. The ideas keep flowing, and it's keeps them going from there.
Beautiful. Hold it right there. Let's take a quick break. We'll be right back. You're listening to WBTN 1370 AM, your community radio station. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Ubuntu Planet, Unity Within Community. I'm Susan Jameson. Co-host here is Rebecca Gretz. And on the air with us are our regional coordinators from Washington State, Joshua and Kara. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And sorry I interrupted you, Kara. Go ahead. And Joshua, we'd love to hear from you too, of course.
Oh, and that actually works perfect because we can flow right into Joshua's story.
So I can kind of jump through my early years and paint a quick picture of leaving my parents' house when I was 16, getting kicked out actually, and then that starting a very rebellious and kind of angry view on the world. And that bled into my 20s where I picked up some horrible drug habits. And through that, I never really felt connected to the communities or the system that I lived in. Through my 20s, I learned to be the Houdini and be able to escape reality through substance abuse. And it wasn't until my 30s that I finally started to gain some clarity. And then I've been sober now for about 5 years. And I can definitely say that it was because of meditation and really connecting with myself that I found the strength to battle substance abuse and win.
Well, congratulations on that alone.
Thanks a lot.
That's a fantastic story, and we're grateful to know you and grateful you're on the air with us. So thank you for sharing that, for your honesty.
Well,
and then you go from that to coming to creating a society of total harmony and balance. So continue.
Right, and it's an internal job first. Like you can't really make anything happen in your reality without achieving it first inside. So on my path of self-discovery and becoming a awake and aware individual, I can skip ahead a bit to coming across Michael Tillinger on Gaia. It was about 2 years ago, I think, and he caught my attention. I was like, I vibe with this guy. I dig what he's saying. And like a month or two later, a friend of mine over in the UK messaged me, and he said, I just went to a workshop by this guy, Michael Tillinger, and you got to check him out. Through that was when I learned the depth of contributionism and what that really means for the planet.
And please do share what it means to you. And I agree with you that the work starts within, and we work on ourselves, and then we want to extend that and share that with others, the vision of this Ubuntu contributionism. So go on. I'm just excited for us here.
That's right. Well, as I said, my whole 20s was rejecting the system that I was born in. It was through a very destructive, rebellious viewpoint, and I had to do the internal work to realize that rebelling and fighting against a system doesn't defeat this system the way it's set up. I realized I had to conquer myself in order to actually start seeing some change happen around me. And for the last 5 years, it's been a welcome challenge to better my lifestyle, to be able to love everyone and everything around me, to come to the realization that my joy comes from helping others succeed instead of trying to compete with everybody and everything around me, doing whatever it takes to win. So all of these, I came to my own conclusion, and then to see them reflected in the contributionism model, I was like, oh my gosh, this is it.
I love that. You know, if it's okay, I would like to, before we run out of time with you, I would like to read some of the words that you two have come up with on your the website. We are the authors of our identity. We choose what defines us as people and community. Our mission is to discover who we are and the sovereignty of the individual. By embracing the principles of contribution, collaboration, and cooperation, we begin the fostering of an abundant society. Identity is defined as the qualities and beliefs that make a particular person or group different from others. As the writers of our identity, we must take the time to examine and question every preconceived notion we've been born with. We must review all of our actions, behaviors, and habits, and adjust those that are not aligned with our principles. It is up to us to live as conscious examples by choosing to change our behavior for the betterment of the human race. We embrace qualities of non-aggression, compassionate communication, and unity within diversity. We neither attack nor defend. Instead, we stand
nature of freedom and consciousness through unity, communities, and the pursuit of self-mastery. Our goal is to document and show how to replicate a systematic method of community development planned to nurture regenerative communities through mutual aid groups, skill sharing, and a volunteer labor force, beginning in our hometown of Bellingham, Washington. Really beautiful words, and I just want to really quickly mention the website www.theidentitymovement.org, and I've never heard of this, but Patreon.com, The Identity Movement. Do either of you want to speak to the motivation behind these sites and your words that you have here?
Sure thing. And thanks for reading that. It really captures our qualities that we've come to value and our mission that we've discovered just through connecting with another contributionist here in town and the resulting effects of our ideas coming together. So we came up with a three-phase plan to implement contributionism in our town from the bottom up.
We definitely have noticed a pattern where as much as I love the one small town movement, it's so inspiring, but I think that there's so many of us that are in these areas where, well, okay, we don't have the small town that's on board, but we still want to do something. We still want to implement these ideas. So we've been trying to find a really systematic plan of action that people like us in their own communities can still implement the contributionism principles without needing to go from the top down with the municipality down. We can still start from the bottom up.
Fantastic. I think it's so important because most of us live in cities, right? So to be able to take action, even though you live in a city, is incredibly empowering. So what you guys are demonstrating is that you can start, and you've already talked about starting within, but this is the next level. You start within, but then you implement that within into your very small community or even small group.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. Beautiful. So here you are implementing a community, you're creating community, and it sounds like the kind of world that most of us would only dream of. Instead, we're taking these dreams and actualizing the best we can, whether it's one small project, moving into one small town where we're working together in unity, and you're actually doing it. Fantastic.
And if we have time, I'd love to kind of blast through our three different phases that we have planned out, because our goal is to document this and to share this in real time with others, so this three-step project can be replicated in cities all across the world.
Well, we have about 4 minutes, so please share. That's why we're here.
Awesome. Well, so phase one is called Connect and Skillshare. And I got this specific idea from the Manifesto of the Free Humans from the Conscious Resistance crew. You can go to consciousresistance.com to check out that book. It's very jam-packed, full of good information. But phase one starts off with creating local mutual aid groups, and we're going to call them unity pods. And they can vary from 8 to 20 people. You identify potential candidates through meetups, Facebook events, and the common agreement of getting together is agreeing to the non-aggression principle and this great catchphrase of just be excellent to each other. If everybody can agree to that, then great, we can work together. And you get together to discuss common skills to share. Farming, permaculture, home repair, CPR, first aid, self-defense. And so you get together and create skill sharing meetings where you all get to share small informal presentations about the things that we all know. And through that, the group grows and strengthens. And from that, we move into the second phase, which is using these unity pods to build our contributionism labor force.
Yes, and then so phase two, we've titled Collaboration and Implementation. And this is where we get to put that contributionism volunteer labor force into action. We can expand our Skillshare events even further with like group gardening projects, backyard gardening projects. One weekend, everybody goes to Jim's and helps set up his garden. One week, then everybody next week goes to Sally's and everyone sets up her garden. So we can, nobody's doing anything on their own. From there, it's partnering with local organizations and local farms and businesses. This way, we can start offering our volunteer labor force. We can volunteer our time for the resources that they provide. The goal is to be decentralizing, to take our dependency back from the system, because as long as we're dependent, we cannot break through. And so phase two, there's definitely a lot to it. And we're still hashing out, but that will just then lead into phase three of creating abundance and prosperity, which is definitely down the road. But phase two, a big part is then going to be creating your organization and getting project managers. This will be an important role of phase two.
So this is kind of our next step, is to create an organization in order to set up this structure for the community and to make it happen. And in doing so, we plan on documenting this whole process in order for it to be replicated in every city and town across the world.
Fantastic. Joshua, Kara, yeah. Thank you so much for being on the show with us today. I'm inspired. I was taking notes while listening to you. I hope everybody listening is inspired and know they can do it too. That's the point. It's just great.
Thank you.
So thank you both for being here.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us on, and you can follow our movement at the identitymovement.org and sign up to our newsletter in order to follow every step along the way.
Thank you.
I just want to say really quickly, I know we have to go to break, but we will, I was just thinking about this as you were sharing, we will be having you on again to see how things are going there in Bellingham, Washington in a month or 2 or 3 with what's happening in your area.
We look forward to it.
Absolutely. Thank you both so much. Let's take a break. We'll be right back.
Nice.
Nailed it.
Awesome. I think we actually got everything covered.
4 minutes, okay.